हेलो गाइस, वेलकम टू द डेटा सफिशिएंसी ओरिएंटेशन लेक्चर। तो आज हम डेटा सफिशिएंसी का ओरिएंटेशन लेक्चर करेंगे, हाउ टू टैकल डेटा सफिशिएंसी क्वेश्चंस। नाउ द जनरल फॉर्मेट ऑफ अ डेटा सफिशिएंसी क्वेश्चन इज, like let's take an example. A general data sufficiency question looks like this. There's a question followed by two hints or two choices, we can say A or B. What we need to figure out in data sufficiency is, one, whether the hint A alone is good enough to solve question for me or not, or hint B alone is good enough to solve question for me or not. Now my answers will vary upon these things. So let's look at this thing, the answer choices. The answer choices, I would mark A as my answer if hint A or hint 1 alone was sufficient, but hint 2 alone was not sufficient enough to answer the question. Okay, so these questions are generally half completed, so they require some help to complete them and then find the answers to the questions also. So I will mark A as my answer if hint 1 is good enough and hint 2 is not. I will mark B as my answer as per these directions. So obviously these directions can vary upon set to set. So according to these directions that I would be marking something like this. So hint 2 alone is sufficient and hint 1 is not, then I will mark B as the answer. Now, if supposedly hint 1 is also sufficient and hint B is also sufficient individually to answer the question, then I would mark D as the answer, which says that each statement alone is sufficient to answer the question. So my answer would be in the domain of A, B and D. Now, the next possibility is that hint 1 and hint 2 both are not good enough to solve the question for me. Then I would take the help of both the hints together and would try to solve the question. If I am able to do so, then I will mark C as the answer, which says that both statement 1 and 2 together are sufficient to answer the question, but neither statement alone is sufficient. So A, B, D is one zone and C and E are another zone. And I will mark E as the answer if both statement 1 and 2 together are also unable to solve the question for me. So I will take the help of both the hints together only if one statement alone is not good enough. Else I will never move into the next zone of C and E, where I hope it's okay, where I need to require the help of both of them together at the same point of time. Now there are certain tips and strategies for data sufficiency. We'll talk about it. These rules can change, the order of these marking options can change from question to question. Right. Now what type of question that would be asked? That can vary from algebra questions to blood relations to coding, decoding to what else. So they can be a quant question or a reasoning question. Right. So that can vary like anything. Okay. So we'll talk about data sufficiency tips and strategies over here. Now the following 11 strategies that you should help to become a master of data sufficiency section is study the questions carefully. So the data sufficiency is one area which is asked in IBPS also, SSC also, CAT also, companies like Infosys also ask, Accenture also ask them, Capgemini also asks data sufficiency. Data sufficiency is present in almost every paper now, and these are the questions that the students would most probably appear into it also. So these are the questions which are very luring in nature. Hence the students would definitely do these questions and they would feel that these questions are easy also. But these questions are very deceptive also. You would think that I have marked the right answer for the question, but the answers would change like anything because of many factors. That's why we are looking at these strategies so that you don't do wrong. One can be reading in between the lines. So if you're not reading in between the lines, then there can be an issue. So what is the value of X? Supposedly that's a question. They have asked you the value of X. They have not asked you the multiple values of X. I'm just giving you the hint. So let's talk about the first strategy. Study the question carefully. The questions generally ask